Today we're going into a story that's, well, it's incredibly disturbing and largely hidden from public view. We're talking about a case of cannibalism on Iran's Chalus Road back in 1998. That's 1377 in the Iranian calendar.
It's a tough one. And the information is scarce,
Yeah.
which is part of the story itself.
Exactly. It starts, believe it or not, with a roadside restaurant, one of those places people stop at on that scenic highway between Chalus and Marzanabad.
A popular route.
Right. And this place gets shut down. But initially it wasn't for murder, it was for, health code violations.
Standard stuff happens all the time.
But what came out almost immediately after was just sickening. The investigation found they were serving dishes, specifically kubide and chenje.
Yeah, common grilled meat dishes. Kubide is ground meat, chenje is cubed.
Cooked with human flesh.
It's hard to even comprehend. And this deep dive, it's really about how investigators pieced this together with so little public information available. The whole thing was wrapped up fast, very quietly.
Yeah, almost suppressed. So our mission today is to use the few fragments we have, bits from local news around 97 to 99, some judicial reports to reconstruct how they went from missing persons reports to this, and why it all went silent so quickly.
Understanding the timeline is key here, because the silence, the lack of widespread reporting, that's a huge part of it.
Okay, so let's start there. The timeline of fear, it didn't begin at the restaurant, did it? It started much earlier, back in the fall of 1997 or 1376.
That's right. The first case we know of was a young guy, 19 years old, a mechanic's apprentice near Chalus.
And he just disappeared.
Vanished. No body found, no ransom note, nothing. Police had absolutely zero to go on.
Okay, one person missing. Tragic, but maybe not instantly alarming for the whole region.
Well, then just 25 days later,
Yeah.
the second case. A young couple, she was 21, he was 26. They'd rented a little cabin in the woods nearby.
A vacation spot.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
The person who rented them the cabin reported them missing. Their car was still there, parked, but they were gone. No signs of struggle, didn't pack their things, just gone.
2 cases, less than a month apart, same small area. Okay, now it's getting scary.
Exactly. This is the point where investigators had to consider something really sinister was happening, localized to that stretch of road.
But connecting them must have been hard. A mechanic's apprentice and a young couple.
Very different people. No obvious link. That's what made it so tough. No clear motive, no suspect profile emerging, just disappearances.
And it didn't stop there.
No. Later, a mother and daughter. They were traveling north, apparently looking to buy some land.
Okay.
They missed an important meeting they had scheduled with someone selling land locally. Hours later, their car is found. Empty. Driverless.
Don't tell me. Near the same place.
Precisely. Very close to where that couple had rented the cabin and vanished.
So now we're at 5 people missing. In about 4 months.
Roughly 4 months, yeah. 5 people.
Yeah.
All gone from the same general vicinity.
What were the police thinking at this point?
They were considering everything. I mean, a serial killer seemed plausible. Maybe even something like human organ trafficking, though that often leaves different kinds of traces. The problem was, whoever was doing this was incredibly clean. No forensic evidence left behind. Nothing.
Just gone. It's chilling.
And then came the 6th victim. This was late April 1998 for Varden 1377. A local guy, an itinerant vendor, sold fruit by the roadside.
Okay.
He apparently used to leave his son at the stall sometimes while he went into the nearby woods to forage for wild fruits or ingredients.
And one day,
He went into the woods and just never came back out.
6 people, 6 months, all along this one section of the Chalus Road. The police must have been desperate.
Absolutely. Months were passing with zero leads. An invisible predator, basically.
So how did they finally break it? How do you go from nothing to finding the restaurant?
It came down to sheer persistence and methodology.
Yeah.
They decided they had to search the entire region.
Yes.
Systematically.
Yeah.
A massive effort.
Boots on the ground.
And pause. They brought in highly trained search dogs. 4 separate teams.
Okay.
And here's the crucial part, the strategy. Each of the 4 dog teams was given census articles from a different missing person.
Ah, smart. So one dog looking for the apprentice, one for the couple, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were essentially running 4 independent searches simultaneously over the same terrain, hoping one would hit.
And did they? What did they find out there?
They found, confirmation of the worst initially.
Yeah.
Horrifying discoveries. They found the head of the mother and the head of the daughter. Just the head.
Wait, just the heads. The rest of the bodies.
Oh my God, just the heads. The rest of the bodies.
Missing. Gone. And for the fruit vendor, they didn't find a body at all, just his clothes buried under the earth.
So they confirmed deaths, but still didn't know who or where the killer was?
Not yet. But then came the breakthrough, the really unbelievable part of the dog search.
What happened?
All four teams, remember, following different scents, different victims.
Yeah.
They all ended up converging on the exact same spot, independently.
No way!
Where?
That roadside restaurant we mentioned at the beginning. All four dogs, regardless of whose scent they were tracking, started barking aggressively, intensely right at that restaurant.
Wow. Okay, so multiple trails all led directly to this one place. That's undeniable.
Undeniable. It practically screamed ground zero.
So the police move in on the restaurant. What did they find inside? Who was running it?
They found 3 men, the owners, described as being around, say, 40 to 50 years old. And apparently they acted very composed, calm, claimed ignorance about everything.
But something must have seemed off.
Yes. The big thing that raised immediate suspicion was the staffing, or lack thereof.
How so?
These 3 guys ran the entire place themselves, cooking, serving customers, cleaning, ordering supplies, everything. No other employees.
Huh. A completely closed loop.
Exactly. Total control. Nothing coming in or going out in terms of personnel that they didn't handle themselves. That felt weird to the investigators.
So did they get a warrant? Bring the dogs inside?
They did, and the dogs went straight for the meat refrigerator, barking like crazy.
Right at the meat supply.
Now, at this exact moment, the police weren't necessarily thinking cannibalism yet. The initial thought, or at least the official reason for action, was suspicion of illegal meat. Maybe non-halal meat, maybe spoiled meat, something violating health codes. That was enough.
Enough to shut it down and investigate further.
Right. So based on that suspicion, they sealed the restaurant. They temporarily detained the 3 owners for questioning. And critically, they took samples of the ground meat from that refrigerator, sent it straight to the lab for urgent testing.
And the lab result
Came back unambiguous.
Yeah.
Horrifying. It was human flesh.
yeah, just confirmed like that.
Yeah.
The meat they were prepping and serving.
It was human. There was no question.
So what happened then once they had that confirmation?
Well, everything changed. A full-scale search of the restaurant and the surrounding area was launched immediately. And sure enough, they started finding things. Clothes belonging to the other victims, personal belongings, buried around the property.
Connecting all the disappearances right to that spot.
Absolutely. The 3 owners were interrogated much more intensely now, obviously. And eventually they confessed.
They admitted it.
They admitted to killing 6 people. The 6 who were reported missing. And yes, using their flesh in the food served at the restaurant.
Did they say? How? Which dishes?
They specifically mentioned kubide and chanja.
The ground meat and the cubed meat.
Yeah, and think about that. Kubide is ground, heavily spiced, grilled on a skewer. Chanja is cubed meat, usually marinated, also grilled.
Preparations that could disguise things.
Very effectively disguise the taste and texture of the meat's origin. It seems chillingly deliberate, serving it to who knows how many unsuspecting customers over months.
It's just monstrous. So, they confessed. What about the justice process? What happened to these 3 men?
The trial was incredibly quick, and it was held entirely behind closed doors.
Why behind closed doors?
The official reason given was the repulsive nature of the crimes. They felt the details were too horrific for public proceedings, potentially causing mass panic or revulsion.
Okay, I can understand that rationale, even if it feels hidden. What was the sentence?
They were convicted and sentenced to flogging, execution, and the payment of diya.
Flogging and execution. Okay, but diya, can you explain that? That's the blood money payment, right? Even in a case like this.
Yes, exactly. Diya is a fundamental part of Iranian law, stemming from Islamic jurisprudence. It's a financial compensation paid by the offender, or their family, to the victim's family or heirs.
So it's separate from the criminal punishment like execution.
Correct. You have the public right, the qisas, or retaliation in kind, which in this case was execution. But you also have the private right of the victim's family to compensation for their loss. The diya addresses that specific loss.
So even in a case of mass murder and cannibalism, that financial compensation to the families is still mandated by the law.
It is. It shows how the system addresses both the state's need for punishment and the family's right to restitution, regardless of how extreme the crime. It affirms their specific loss was recognized financially.
That's a complex layer. But setting the legal specifics aside, the bigger question arises again. Why the silence? This is one of the most horrific crimes imaginable. Why didn't this make huge news nationally or even internationally?
There seem to be 2 main theories based on the context of the time. The first is, well, it was incredibly unfortunate timing.
How so?
This all came to light right around the peak of media frenzy concerning the chain murders in Iran.
Ah, right. That was huge. Can you remind listeners what that was about? It wasn't ordinary crime?
Not at all. The chain murders were a series of assassinations targeting intellectuals, writers, political activists, primarily dissidents and reformist figures. This happened throughout the 90s, but the investigations and revelations really exploded around 1998.
And it implicated, well, potentially elements within the state itself, didn't it?
That was the explosive part. It
Yeah.
was a massive political scandal, a crisis shaking the government's foundations. It wasn't just crime news. It was about the very security and nature of the state.
So you've got this enormous political firestorm sucking up all the media oxygen.
Every headline, every broadcast. A genuine national crisis.
And meanwhile, this arguably more gruesome but politically less sensitive story about cannibalism on a remote road. It just got drowned out.
That's one very strong possibility. The sheer scale and political weight of the chain murders could have simply overshadowed it, provided a sort of structural camouflage. It wasn't necessarily a conspiracy to suppress it, but more like it got lost in the noise of a much bigger, politically charged storm.
What's the other theory?
The alternative, or perhaps complementary explanation, is more direct potential censorship.
Right.
Given the incredibly taboo and disturbing nature of cannibalism,
Yeah.
authorities might have actively restricted media reporting on the specifics to prevent widespread public panic, social trauma, or damage to the region's reputation, especially Chalus Road being a tourist route.
So either overshadowed by a political crisis or intentionally kept quiet because it was just too horrifying.
Or maybe a combination of both. Whatever the reason, the result was silence. The executions of the three men were not publicized. Only the families of the 6 known victims were informed. The case was closed quickly and quietly.
6 victims confirmed. 6 lives ended horrifically. But the truly chilling thought is, we have no idea how many other people were unknowingly involved.
You mean the customers?
Yeah. The people who stopped at that restaurant for a meal, how many hundreds, maybe thousands over those months unknowingly ate human flesh? That number is completely unknown. Lost.
It really underscores how something so profoundly evil could operate right under the surface, masked initially by something as ordinary as a health code check.
And then, just as quickly as it's uncovered, it's effectively erased from public discussion, swallowed by bigger news, or perhaps deliberately buried.
The speed of it all, the closed-door trial, the quiet execution, even that detail about the daya being handled privately, it leaves you wondering, well, justice was served in a legal sense for those 3 men. You have to ask, how many other facts, how many other details about what truly happened along Chalus Road in those months remain buried, hidden from history, just like the victims' bodies were initially hidden? It's a deeply unsettling thought.